Hello and welcome back, students. Now that we have learnt how to draw the ray diagrams for concave and convex mirrors, let us also talk about various uses of concave and convex mirrors. First, let us discuss the concave mirrors. Now, as you know, concave mirrors can be used in torches and searchlights. These are also used in vehicle headlights to get a very powerful and parallel beam of light. Are also used for the purpose of shaving. Dentists also use concave mirrors to see large images of teeth for patients. Large concave mirrors are used to concentrate sunlight to produce heat in solar furnaces. These are the various uses of concave mirrors. Now, let us look at each one of them separately. How is concave mirrors used in case of the headlights of the vehicle? This is the painted side of the concave mirror, whereas the front side is the reflecting side of the concave mirror. Now, this point is the focus. At the point focus, we generally place the bulb of the headlight. Now, this bulb will act as a source of light. When the light rays are emitted from this bulb, they come out from the focus point, and when they are incident on the concave mirror, they travel parallel to the principal axis like this, in this direction. Similarly, all the other rays that come out of the bulb, they are incident on the concave mirror, and after reflecting they go parallel to the principal axis. So all the light rays that come out of the focus after reflecting from the concave mirror always go parallel to the principal axis. That's why the headlights of the vehicles always give out a straight and very strong beam of light. Now let us have a look at the second use. Concave mirrors, as I said, is also used in case for shaving purpose. During shaving, generally the face is kept at a very close distance from the mirror. Why so? Now just recall the last ray diagram in case of concave mirror. What we did is, we placed this object very close to the pole, between focus and the pole. And what kind of image did we get? We got an erect image, and the image was enlarged in size. While shaving, we would like to see the object and the small hairs larger in size so as to trim them properly. That's why we have to always hold the mirror very close to our face. Another use is in solar furnaces. Now, as you know that solar furnace can be used to cook our food. Now, how do we exactly do that? Now, we have these parallel rays of light which are coming from sun. They are coming from infinite distance. Any light ray coming from an infinite distance will always be going parallel to each other. And after they are incident on the concave mirror, we find that since they were going parallel to principal axis, after reflection they will all pass through a common point which is focus. Now, because all the light rays are concentrated at a common point focus, there will be lot of heat generated, and that heat can be used for cooking food using the solar cooker. Now, these were the uses of concave mirror. Let's now have a look at convex mirrors also. Convex mirrors generally find their application as rear view mirrors in vehicles. Now, if you must have seen, the mirror that you use as a side view mirror is generally a convex mirror. Now, why do you prefer that? We all know that convex mirror give us only a diminished image and the image is erect. In the case, while we are traveling, there are many vehicles which are coming behind our vehicle. So we would like to see all those vehicles in order to have a good sense of the traffic. That's why, suppose there's a truck which is coming behind us. If we use a plane mirror, we will be only able to see the one single truck with the help of the plane mirror. However, we would like to see not just the plane mirror but the other vehicles that are coming behind us. So in order to accommodate large number of vehicles in the same mirror, we would want the image to be smaller in size, that is diminished in size, so as to accommodate more number of vehicles in the same view. That's why we do not use plane mirrors but we use convex mirrors. That's why the convex mirrors find its application as a rear view mirror in case of vehicles. Now we are almost done with discussing the mirrors. Let us now move on to the lenses part. Spherical lenses are of two types. One is convex lens, another one is concave lens. Now there is difference between lenses and mirrors. Now please understand that there is a lot of difference between spherical mirrors and spherical lenses. On one hand, where mirrors have got one side as a reflecting side and the other side will be a non-reflective side, which means it is a painted side. On the other hand, the spherical lenses will have both sides as reflecting sides. So this is the first surface of the convex lens, this is the second surface, and both the surface will be reflecting surface. Similarly, in case of convex lens also, on both the sides the surfaces are reflecting surface. Then if the light is incident on one direction on one surface, then it will be coming out, it will be reflecting from the other side, from the other surface. Now, how do you recognize which is a convex lens and which is a concave lens? Now, the lens which is thicker from the middle and has got very thin edges will be a convex lens. Whereas, how do you recognize which is a concave lens? Concave lens will always have very thin, it will be very thin in the middle, however the edges will be very thick. So just by touching them also you could make out which is a convex lens and which is a concave lens. Now the parts of the concave and convex lens are also very similar to the mirrors. In the case of lenses, we have the center part which is known as the optical center. So this O which I have designated here is the center of the lens which is called as optical center. So in both the cases we have the optical centers. Now in case of mirrors, this part was known as pole. But now here we will call it as optical center. Like in the mirrors, we had a focus and a center of curvature. Here also we will have a focus as well as a center of curvature on both sides of convex as well as concave lens. Now let's discuss the image formation by the convex lens. When the object is placed at infinity, then all the rays that will be emitted by the object will always go parallel to each other, and they will also be parallel to the principal axis. Now after reflection, because these rays were initially parallel to principal axis, they will be passing through the focus. That means they will all be passing through one common point, which is focus. So what kind of image are we going to get? The image will be formed at the point focus. It will be a point size image and the image will be real and inverted. Why do we say real? So why do we say that the image will be a real image? Because it is formed in front of the convex lens. Let's now discuss the second ray diagram. In this case, we will now shift the object from infinite distance to just beyond C. When the object is placed at beyond C, the first light ray will go parallel to the principal axis like this, and then after reflection, it will pass through the focus, something like this. The second light ray will always go through the optical center. Now in the case of lenses, remember that the second light ray we will always make it pass through the optical center. Now where do these two light rays meet? They meet between focus and the center of curvature. So what kind of image are we going to get? Firstly, the image as we see here in the diagram is smaller in size as compared to the object. The image will be real and inverted. We see the arrow is inverted in position. That's why we call this image as inverted, and it will be real because it is formed in front of the lens, and the image will be formed between F and C. Now the third ray diagram, we further shift our object to a position at the center of curvature. When the object is at center of curvature, again we will take into consideration the same two rays. One ray going parallel to the principal axis after reflection will pass through the focus, and the second light ray passing from the optical center and meeting exactly at the center of curvature on the other side. So the image is again inverted, but now we find that the image is slowly increasing in size, and the size of image is now exactly equal to the size of the object, and the image is formed at C. Let's now move our object between center of curvature and the focus. When we place our object between C and F, the first light ray, again going parallel to the principal axis, after reflection will pass through the focus. However, the second light ray will pass through the optical center. These two light rays meet at a point which is beyond the center of curvature on the other side. So again, we find the size of the image further increasing. The size is enlarged now. The image is inverted as well as it is real, and it is formed beyond C. So again, this proves that slowly and steadily, as we move our object from infinite position to closer and closer to the optical center, as the object moves closer to the optical center, the size of the image is increasing slowly and steadily. Let's now shift our object further close to the pole. So now we place it at the focus. When we place the object at focus, the first light ray goes parallel to the principal axis as in the previous case, and because now it is traveling parallel to the principal axis, after reflection it will pass through the focus. The second light ray, as in all the cases, will have to pass through the optical center. So these two light rays, if we stand here and try to watch these two rays, do they appear to be meeting? No. These two light rays appear to be going parallel to each other, but they are not exactly parallel. They are almost near parallel to each other. Such near parallel rays are expected to be meeting at infinite distance from the lens. That's why if they are going to meet at an infinite distance, the image is going to be highly enlarged. How is the image? It is going to be real and inverted. So now this case is exactly opposite to the first case. In the first case of convex lens, we kept our object at infinite distance. And where did we get the image? We got the image at the point focus. In this case, we are keeping the object at focus. We are getting the image at infinite distance. Now let's shift our object further close to optical center, that is between the focus and the optical center. As usual, the first ray will have to travel parallel to the principal axis, and after reflection it will pass through the focus. The second light ray will pass through the optical center like this. So these two rays doesn't seem to be meeting here towards this end where we are standing and observing. So towards us they don't seem to be meeting. But if we extend these two light rays on the other side, they appear to be meeting. Now mind you, these dashed light rays are not the actual light rays, but they are virtual light rays. That's why. Remember, any two light rays which appear to meet at a point will always form an image which is going to be a virtual image. So this is the only case in convex lenses where we get a virtual image as well as an erect image. The image as you see here is not inverted as in the other cases, but it is erect. And the image is formed on the same side of the lens as that of the object. There is one more thing to note. The object is enlarged in size. It is much larger in size. Now that we have studied the various ray diagrams in case of convex lenses, this table will help you to memorize and understand the nature of the image with respect to the various position of the object. So do go through this table. It will help you in solving various numericals that you come across in this chapter. Let us look at the concave lens also. In case of concave lens, if we place the object at infinity like what I have shown here, and let's say that from the object there are many rays which are coming out, but we will consider only few rays for the ease of understanding. Let's say this is the first ray which comes out, which will go parallel to the principal axis. After reflection, it will get diverged, because we all know that a concave lens is a diverging lens. The rays do not meet at a particular point, but the rays get diverged. So the first ray which is going parallel to the principal axis after reflection will get diverged like this. The second light ray which is traveling parallel to the principal axis again seems to be diverging like this. If I consider an inverted object something like this, again the rays initially will be going parallel to the principal axis, and after reflection they will be diverging. So any number of rays you consider in case of a concave lens, you will find that all these rays will be actually diverging. The broad dark lines that you see here are the actual diverging rays. So they don't seem to be meeting somewhere towards this side. But what if we extend all these rays onto this side, the same side? When we extend these rays, they appear to be meeting at a point which is focus. Now that's why, what kind of image is formed here? It is going to be a point size image, and the image will be formed at focus. Now, because this image is not formed due to the actual or the real rays, the real light rays, that's why this image formed will be a virtual image. Now what will happen if we shift our object closer to the optical center? Let's place the object between C and F. When we place it between C and F, let's see what is the first light ray. The first light ray will be going parallel to the principal axis as in the previous case, but after reflection it will be diverging like this. The second light ray will pass through the optical center something like this. Now where does these two rays meet? They meet at a point between F and O. That's why the position of the image is between F and O. The image is going to be erect and it is going to be virtual, because both the rays are not the real rays. One of the rays, if you see here, is a virtual light ray. So the image is formed because of this virtual light ray. That's why this image formed will be a virtual image. Also, if you see the size of the image, the size will be always smaller than the size of the object. That's why we call it a diminished image. Now, one more important point that you would like to note it somewhere. If I keep shifting my object closer and further close to the optical center, the image will also keep shifting towards the optical center. It will keep becoming larger and larger in size, but the size of the image can never be equal to the size of the object. It will still be smaller to the size of the object. Now that we have learned how to draw the ray diagram for concave lens, this table will help you understand what is the position of the object, and with respect to the position of the object, what is going to be the nature of the image. Again, please go through the diagram and understand various aspects of a concave lens. We have understood the various ray diagrams for mirrors as well as lenses, and you must have noted that the ray diagram for concave mirror is almost similar to the ray diagrams for convex lens. On the other hand, the ray diagram for convex mirror are almost similar to the ray diagrams of the concave lens. In the next video session, we will be discussing about various sign conventions